Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Canadian Prairie. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, as we take a look at the temperature forecast for the next 10 days, we're going to be shifting from this much warmer pattern across the Canadian Prairie to a much cooler pattern in the 6 to 10 day time frame. Now, there's some uncertainty as to just how dramatic that cool down is going to be, but we absolutely, over the next week, will be slowly transitioning to a cooler pattern across the Canadian Prairie. Now, not really talking about significant precipitation over the next 5 days. As we make this transition, there's going to be opportunities for some light precipitation, some light accumulating snow, and some heavier accumulating snow off to the north of the Prairie as we head through the rest of the weekend. As we look at the next 10 days, though, getting into mid to late next week, watching for the potential for a storm system to kind of track through the northern plains of the U.S. here, potentially bringing some snow to eastern portions of the Prairie over here, and that's something we will have to talk about. So over the next 5 days, opportunities for light snow, trace amounts of snow, maybe a light coating in several areas here across the Prairie. And then as we get into next week, potentially talking about a more disruptive storm system. As we check in with the satellite picture then here early on this Friday morning, again, you can see the flow of the atmosphere up here, broader ridging across the Prairie, and that is what has allowed for this warm-up across the region over the last several days. Now, we've got a couple of disturbances making their way through parts of the central and eastern United States, but otherwise quiet across a big chunk of the northern U.S. into the Canadian Prairie this morning. So take a look at the radar here on Friday morning, seeing some light showers, some light rain or snow showers making their way through parts of central Alberta between Grand Prairie and Edmonton. Otherwise, a quiet day as we get started here on this Friday. As we look at snow cover across the region, again, this map is fairly hard to see, but we've got Alberta here, Saskatchewan, and then Manitoba doing something like that. If we go ahead and just take a look here, we're looking at the heaviest concentration of snow right here across far southern portions of Saskatchewan near the U.S. border, getting into southern Alberta here, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow, near 20 centimeters of snow as you get to the U.S. border in southern Saskatchewan, and then anywhere from 5 to 10, near 15 centimeters of snow across portions of southern Manitoba. Now, as we just head through the first part of the weekend, again, looking at the NAM model focused on the U.S., but concentrating on the Canadian Prairie, keeping it rather quiet as we get the weekend started. Chances for some light precipitation as we head into early Saturday morning across parts of southwestern Manitoba and southeastern Saskatchewan. And then we'll have to shift things northward and look at the opportunities for some precipitation as we head into Sunday and Monday as well. Looking first at the overall jet stream picture here, looking at 500 millibar heights and vorticity across the U.S. and Canada here. This is the disturbance bringing some rain to parts of the Central Plains into the eastern U.S. as we head through Friday and Saturday. This is a United States weather system here. As we go ahead and just play this loop, I'm going to go ahead and jump back and step through time here, taking it through the weekend, watching the broader ridging across across Canada transition into a broader trough now across Western Canada into the United States. We're seeing flow doing something like this back across the Pacific here, across Western United States, across Western Canada, the trough axis like this. This is what allows some cooler air to build in, especially across Western Canada, but likely across a big chunk of the Prairie as we head into next week. This would be the disturbance then that we're seeing within the vorticity field there as we get into Thursday and Friday of next week. That could bring some snow to eastern portions of the Canadian Prairie as well. So this could be the disruptive precipitation maker as we get into next week. Now, very low confidence as we get beyond that 5-day time frame, unfortunately. So we'll go ahead and take a look at what we're looking at here as we head through the weekend, going ahead and jumping back and just taking it slowly through the weekend, starting here on Friday, watching for the opportunity for, again, those very light showers across parts of central Alberta to continue on through central Saskatchewan into southern Manitoba as we get into tonight. So just very, very light opportunities for some light rain across maybe along the Highway 16 corridor as we head through the day today. As we get into Saturday, a more organized storm system tracks through northern Saskatchewan into northern Manitoba. So this is during the day on Saturday, getting into Saturday night, the opportunity for some snow along and north of Highway 16. Now, as we get into Sunday and Monday, there's the opportunity here for this disturbance to bring snow a little bit further south to near the Highway 16 corridor, getting into south central Manitoba, the opportunity for maybe several centimeters of snow if we see a further south solution with that snow track as we get into Sunday and Monday. As we get into the early part of next week now, we're talking about Tuesday and Wednesday. We're seeing the overall jet stream pattern change now. We're seeing that trough be carved out across the western U.S., or the western half of Canada over the Pacific Northwest, bringing in those cooler conditions. Also just enough in the way of upper level energy to create some light snow showers across the region as well. So transitioning cooler, dealing with some light opportunities for some snow across the prairie. And then I've stopped the model here as we get to Thursday of next week, around November 28th or 29th. This is when we see the potential for a storm system to develop here across maybe the northern plains of the U.S., bringing some snow to eastern portions of the Canadian prairie. Now, very low confidence as we get out this far. We've seen the models jumping around a lot run to run. This is what we're looking at right now. We do have decent ensemble agreement. What I mean by that is the ensemble models, that's where we take between 20 and 50 different runs of the exact same model, giving it slightly different beginning conditions. And we get different outputs there, different solutions, gives us a better consensus idea. We do see support for a big storm system in this region as we get to the end of next week, but the exact track is going to be shifting a lot every 12 hours when we get a new model run. So pay attention, jump back into the forecast here on Monday, and we can talk more about what we're looking at the end of next week. For now, just understand we are transitioning to a cooler pattern, and there will be opportunities for light snow across the Canadian prairie as we head through the weekend into early next week. Total accumulated snow, if we just go ahead and play it out, this is looking at the run that came out at midnight, which is an off-hour run of the European model, and this is one that wanted to produce a little bit more snow across far east central Saskatchewan into west central Manitoba here, maybe producing anywhere from 5 to 10 centimeters of snow across that region. Big question mark with that one, though, but I just wanted to give you an idea, give you a visual on one of the alternative snowier solutions. If we just take this into early next week now, looking at Monday, if we ignore this, say that this doesn't happen, say this model run is an outlier, we just kind of cover it in there, we're looking at very light snow amounts, if you get any here over the next several days, just talking about trace amounts for some of these snow showers, especially as we get to the back half of the weekend into early next week and begin this transition to a cooler pattern. Now again, question marks as far as how dramatic that cool down is going to be as we looked at the 6 to 10 day temperature time frame, that forecast at the beginning of the forecast video here. We saw very cold temperatures setting up here across western Canada into the Pacific Northwest as we got into early next week. If we go ahead and play this, you can see the transition happen right there, bringing it back. We've got warmer conditions as we get the forecast period started here. Anomalously warm, very warm, especially north of the prairie here. It's only cooler because we've got some snow on the ground across this region. Otherwise, we would be warming up all the way down to the U.S. border as well. But as we begin this transition, you start to see, as we get into the early part of next week, right around Monday and Tuesday, you're seeing the warmer colors fade. And then by the time we get into the time frame of Wednesday and Thursday of next week, November 27th and 28th, now we've shifted to this cooler pattern across at least western Canada, if not the entire prairie. Looking at the total precipitation forecast then for Alberta, taking it through Tuesday evening. So looking at the weekend into Monday and Tuesday, seeing some precipitation opportunities heaviest as you get off to the west near the across the mountains. If we're looking at the prairie here, just talking about anywhere from a couple to maybe 5 to 8 millimeters of precipitation. A little bit heavier if you head off toward the northwest, toward the Brandon area. As we look at I apologize here, snow, that's what it's called. The snowfall forecast here, taking this through Monday at 7 p.m. as well. Again, just talking about the opportunities, especially as we get into early next week, Sunday through Tuesday and Wednesday. As we transition to this cooler pattern, the opportunities for some very light snow across the region. Your high temperatures for the day today, Friday, anywhere from 5 to 8 degrees across southern Alberta, dropping down to the lower single digits for your overnight low tonight. High temperatures right around 8 or 9 degrees for the day on Saturday. Overnight lows in the single digits south, below zero as you head north of Highway 1. And then as we look at the afternoon high temperatures on Sunday, anywhere from 3 to 5 degrees, 7 if you head all the way to far southern Alberta. Jumping off to the east, looking at the total precipitation forecast, again, very light. Opportunities for heavier precipitation off to the north of the prairie. Otherwise, if we're talking about the primary prairie region across this region here, talking about light opportunities for some light snow showers as we head into early next week, with the big question mark looming as we get into Thursday and Friday, with the potential for more significant snow accumulation. Your high temperatures for the day today, anywhere from 8 degrees in southwestern Saskatchewan to near freezing in southern Manitoba, dropping to near freezing or a few degrees below overnight tonight, climbing back into the upper single digits for the day tomorrow, near freezing where we've got thicker snowpack on the ground near the U.S. border, dropping down to around 0 for your overnight low on Sunday night, and then Saturday night, and then Sunday warming up to the lower single digits across the region. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video, and I will be back to talk about the Canadian Prairie on Monday morning as well. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.